Cooper Kupp could be a Jaguar, according to reports. We got Rico Dowdle in a Panthers uniform. Not good for Rico Dowdle's potential upside in fantasy. And one could say it's not great for Chuba Hubbard, but then you also could say, look, I mean, Rico played well, but Chuba played amazing. And I don't think this guy's going to take away, Rico Dowdle's going to take away Chuba Hubbard's workload. We'll talk more about that, but definitely great for Javonte Williams for now, until we find out what the Dallas Cowboys do on draft day, right? But Javonte Williams looking like he might be in position to be the actual full-time starter in Dallas and not just a placeholder or some sort of backup or change of pace back. But we trusted Javonte's situation, not his fault, but we trusted his situation too many times and it's failed us. So we got to be careful, but I'm excited. I'm intrigued by Javonte. We've always loved Javonte. Let's talk about Cooper Kupp. The likelihood he is a Jaguar, that's the current rumor right now. Doesn't mean it's cemented in, but the early word is within 24 hours, maybe tonight, maybe by midnight tonight, but within 24 hours, Cooper Kupp could be announced to be a Jaguar. How much weight how much weight does this report have? We're going to get into it all right now. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Hard to really know what this Rico Dowdle signing does for Chuba Hubbard. So let's break down the contract, and we'll get into Cooper Kupp after that. Rico Dowdle signs a 1 year. That's a 1 year deal, not a huge commitment. Usually, and they extended, Chuba's contract, they wanted Chuba to stay. Chuba's their guy. Chuba's their lead back. Chuba was amazing last year. Jonathan Brooks retore his ACL, will not be coming back in 2025, nor am I even considering Jonathan Brooks an option at all in fantasy football. On Dynasty, I'd probably pick him up and put him on like a practice squad or something, or IR or whatever, but I'm not even thinking about Jonathan Brooks at all. So it's Chuba Hubbard's team. But, you look at this number, 1 year deal means they're not confident in him. He's definitely there as a supporting role, but how much? $6.25 million on a 1 year deal is a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but on a 1 year deal makes it a confusing message, when we break it down. I would say he's a handcuff. I would say Chuba Hubbard takes a little bit of an ADP hit, but I would also say that I'm comfortable with that. I maybe get into some more Chuba Hubbard shares with Rico Dowdle, watering down his upside and value to a lot of people. This might get me into some more Chuba Hubbard shares than I would have had this not happen. This happens all the time when a player lands somewhere and everybody freaks out and it's like, wow, we're going to go ahead and get a discount here. When Blake Corum landed in LA in the NFL draft, everybody ran away from Kyren Williams, who probably would have been a top 10 overall pick that year. So last year, walking into this time last year, if Corum was not drafted, Kyren had such a good year that year prior that in 2024 he would have been drafted as a top 10 overall pick. So sometimes there's a blessing in disguise with some sort of cloudy, crazy situation. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I like it if it drops Chuba Hubbard's value. We'll break more of that down later. If anybody's got a question around that, we'll get back to it. This other piece of news before we get to Cooper Kupp is this one right here. A.J. Dillon is signing with the Eagles. The Eagles let Kenny Gainwell head on over to a new situation. So they say, bring A.J. Dillon in. And everybody's joking around about how the Eagles running back crew has the strongest quads in the National Football League. And when you really think about it, is this a tush-push move as well? You've got Quadzilla 1, Quadzilla 2, and then the quarterback in the NFL that can bench press 600 pounds in Jalen Hurts. I don't know. I don't know if you'd put both of them in, and that's how you operate the tush-push. But this is definitely an interesting signing. I don't know that A.J. Dillon, it's been a while. He's only 26 years old. It feels like he's been in the league like 10 years. 26, wow. Doesn't it feel like he's 30, 31, 32 years old? He's still only 26 years old. His best days feel like they're behind him, but with this offensive line, if he was ever forced to start, who the hell knows what he'd do? So handcuff him to Barkley if you've got him. And Barkley had an ungodly amount of carries in 2024, so there's a really high likelihood that Barkley misses at least a couple games this year. I know Barkley owners won't want to hear that. Barkley prospective owners won't want to hear that. Eagles fans won't want to hear that. But the history that we have in front of us tells us that the odds of Barkley staying healthy this year, especially given his injury history that he has kind of shaken free, I agree. For the most part, we can't call him some sort of injury-prone player. But that injury concern, the injury history, and the best way to tell if a player is going to get hurt is looking at their past, right? And is there an injury history? And there is, even if there's a break in injury. And the workload. Whenever you're getting 350 total carries, when you're getting near 400 total touches, it puts you in a very vulnerable spot. And he's older. It's a lot of abuse. This guy could end up being something. He might not. Who knows what happens? Shipley's still in the mix. Maybe Shipley's the number 2 running back right from the jump. It's hard to really say. But, it's something to monitor, and it's not something to get crazy about, especially if you don't own Barkley. Cooper Kupp. As I mentioned at the top of the show, Cooper Kupp has there's significant interest around the entire National Football League. Significant interest, but there is a report, according to, I believe it's still the ESPN report, the same report, the report that, let me see if I can even put this actual entire clipping on screen, but the report reads as follows, and I'll throw it on after, that Garofalo, specifically in the same cited article, said that Kupp to the Jaguars, whose new head coach, Liam Cohen, and general manager both spent time working with the Rams during Cooper Kupp's tenure. Multiple teams are undoubtedly pursuing Kupp, though. Garofalo indicated that a new deal could come this evening. So, within 24 hours, a lot of people do expect Kupp to be signed to a team. It does feel like the Jaguars have jumped in front of everyone else. Doesn't mean that the Jaguars will end up with Cooper Kupp. That is the nature of free agency. Some people will come in here and go, Smitty, remember when you said Cooper Kupp to the Jaguars? He didn't go there. It could happen like that. A team could just say, you know what? We were not the lead dog. Let's up our ante. Let's offer more money. Let's go ahead and figure this out. Same thing with Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers could pick up the phone, not give him an increased offer, and he could go to the New York Giants when he's wanting to go to the Steelers. None of this stuff is controllable. We can only provide our prediction and our guesstimation upon the news that is in front of us. And the news in front of us is oftentimes chalked up with absolute rumor and fodder and made up misbelief, fairy dust, and pixie dust from these local content creator fan pages that sometimes spread rumors about having a trust me bro source, and they don't. So there's not a lot to really go on other than this Garofalo report that's anything recent, and he's suggesting 24 hours. He's suggesting the Jaguars. He's talking about Liam Cohen and the connection. The connections have a lot to do with some of these signings, even if you think back to every single thing that's happened. Debo goes to the Commanders. Makes a lot of sense, right? You've got Geno Smith going to the Las Vegas Raiders to reunite with Pete Carroll. Makes a lot of sense, right? There's a lot of connections, and there's oftentimes a way you can kind of predict how these things could potentially go. And so here we are. We got Fields with Garrett Wilson. I mean, some of these things after the fact, you're like, well, wow, why don't we just look for connections here? Because the connections between players, coaches, GMs, organizations, oftentimes you're reading tea leaves when you're connecting those dots. This makes sense. It makes sense as to why it's the lead dog candidate to get the Cooper Kupp, to go get the little Cooper Kupp on roster. Jaguars, they also lost a receiver. So it makes sense. It makes sense to me. You get somebody in next to BT, nobody that's going to really hurt the situation too badly, but you get him next to BT, and this is good. It keeps BT facing probably a little bit more defensive, honest defensive coverage versus everybody trying to double team him constantly. Not saying that Cooper Kupp is going to draw double teams himself at this point in his career. People know what time it is. But having Cooper Kupp, a route technician, a guy that still can run a precise route. I've watched the film on him. He didn't look awful. He didn't produce. I don't know what it is. But going over to this situation at least gives a warm body that defenses will look at and say, we might need to contain him at a usual capacity. This ain't no rookie or some bum. It's a guy that we need to contend with, and BT is able to continue to do BT type things. So if BT does end up seeing Cooper Kupp on roster, guess what? Even more of a reason to hide your mamas, because BT's coming for everybody.
He's BTJ. What you gonna do? He's BTJ. He's gonna put it on you. He's BTJ. Gonna have a good game. He's BTJ. Your mama screams his name.
So hide your mamas. BTJ is coming for everybody, no matter what. But this would be helpful. I wouldn't mind this at all. I will say that it's good for Trevor Lawrence. It makes him kind of a crafty super flex quarterback if you want to take a little bit of gamble action on the Jaguars offense. I love ETN and Bigsby as a combo, especially given that you're almost like cuffing the two of them together. You're not even spending any sort of crazy amount of money on ETN and Bigsby. You're almost drafting both of them at cuff value. You are drafting both of them at cuff value. You know, it's like you're taking Bigsby in, like, I don't know, 12, round 13, round 11, round 14. I mean, it depends. You're taking ETN in 10, 11. You're taking both those running backs in the double-digit rounds. Could they draft a running back? Sure. Could they draft Genty? It's possible. You know, and in your mom and pop redraft league, you'll know in enough time to make the decision, you know, to make the right decision and not overdraft but in best ball, I'll draft the hell out of that combo, and I do all the time. I don't know. I'm gonna keep refreshing and see if there's any other news out there. They keep posting all kinds of Cooper Kupp reports. Cooper Kupp saying thank you. Cooper Kupp posting all this stuff. Part of me's thinking that this Cooper Kupp, who said we talked often about the Rams being back. You know, he just a lot of Cooper Kupp posts. Part of me's thinking he's getting this out of the way before an announcement comes. You know, he's kind of throwing it all out there right now. You know, it's all been ready to go. It's almost like he hasn't put much thought into it because it's already been scripted or ready to post. So I do feel like a Cooper Kupp announcement's coming. He just wants to say goodbye first. Not reflective, taking his time. This is Ian Rappaport talking about this Aaron Rodgers picture where Aaron Rodgers is walking on the beach, and he says that just reflective, taking his time. Aaron Rodgers caught strolling along the beach and continues to ponder his NFL future, which I believe is going to end up resulting in him being a Pittsburgh Steeler, because it's the only thing that makes sense. As I broke down on the earlier show, you got the highest likelihood of winning. You have the highest likelihood of going to the playoffs. You have the highest likelihood of winning a playoff game or further, if you want to say that he's got the ability to do that. You got DK and Pickens. As of right now, I do predict that Pickens is going to cause a beef and a stir and try and get traded. Whether he gets traded or not is up to the asking team and whether the price is right. But Pickens ain't going to handle. I've said this for about 48 straight, about maybe 3, I don't know, 2 days straight then, I guess. 2 days straight by now that Pickens is going to cause a stir. Because you can't watch DK Metcalf get this massive amount of money and stay quiet when all you have to do to get paid is initiate a trade. Because the receiving party will not give up draft capital for you unless a trade announcement and contract get announced at the same time. That's how that works. They get handled at the exact same time. They announce the trade. They announce the new contract at almost parallel moments. And so Pickens' agent wants to get paid too, because if Pickens gets paid, he gets paid. I can tell you right now, they're working on it. You know, Pickens isn't going to go, oh, DK got a bag. That's really nice. I didn't get it, but hey, now I'm also competing for catches. I'm already complaining about not getting the ball. Oh, we have no quarterback as well. I'm just happy as can be. I'm not going to put up a stink at all. You got to be kidding me. But anyway, back to A-Rod. A-Rod right now, at least, even if Pickens is gone, A-Rod right now has DK Metcalf. What an attractive piece to play catch with every single day. It's a big tree trunk, big refrigerator, 7-foot refrigerator running across the field. You know, how hard is it to throw it to DK Metcalf? Not hard at all. DK Metcalf would have a field day. And if Pickens gets traded, DK's back on the Mars Man or the Moon Man list. Right now, he's not really off it. I removed him when it first happened, and we're just kind of waiting on it, marinating on it. But DK could seriously, if he's the only wide receiver in Pittsburgh, go straight to the moon. He's just waiting right now. Going to New York just doesn't make sense. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers makes a lot of sense. That's why I wouldn't bet my life on it, you know? That's why I don't know for sure. That's why I could go 100 different ways. But at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers is looking like a Pittsburgh Steeler, or he's retiring. So the Vikings conversation, that hasn't been brought up in a while. Ian Rappaport reported today that the two spots he's contemplating is New York and is Pittsburgh. So whether any of you think it should be the Minnesota Vikings, the Vikings have appeared to move on. The Vikings have spent so much money already. They don't want to throw any more money at Aaron Rodgers. They didn't want to throw any money at Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford. Why do I call Sam Darnold Sam Bradford? Maybe because they both failed, and Sam Darnold has since rebounded, but I keep calling him Sam Bradford. You guys remember Sam Bradford? So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. Dial into the show. You know the drill. Phone number's on screen. Do it live.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
$10 hauler from BBQ coming in strong. Thank you for the gifted memberships earlier today too, my man. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Let me activate. Usually I have to wait till the first super chat or something to activate my alerts on screen. The spaceman dance. Just kind of the way it goes. Is the leftover QB sweepstakes a good lesson about waiting on a QB in fantasy football drafts instead of drafting elite? I think it's the exact same parallel. Yeah, for sure. People that wait for quarterback, they end up going, damn, I should have maybe jumped on it. But it's a tough balance because you got guys that end up falling, you know, in spots that are very good picks, but you have other players there that are just better picks. So you say, let me see if I can wait till Mahomes, you know. But Mahomes is a player that you can grab pretty easily in probably round number 5 or 6 in a best ball or a non-best ball league, your buddy league, your work league. Whereas, you know, in best ball, Mahomes is going in 6 or 7. And with the Worthy news, even though it got taken back, the Worthy, you know, off the field issue that he was not charged with that situation, a lot of that story seems to be fabricated according to reports. People are still not fully adjusted to Mahomes. They still doubt him. They still think that this wide receiver room is just a mess waiting to happen. And so, you know, it's almost like people are discounting it based on recency bias just on the news. Okay, Travis, you're live. And then if you want to mute yourself, rock out real quickly for me. Let me go over to Travis. Travis, you're live. What can I do for you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, bro.
The Jags are interesting because if they do that, if they were able to bring Kupp in, you know, in terms of just talking football, BTJ, Kupp, then they could potentially take like Tyler Warren, which would be a really nice replacement for Ingram. And then after that, they still have Gabe Davis and De'Ami Brown on a 1-year deal, I think. So that becomes a really, really nice receiving room.
Yeah.
If they're able to do that.
Yeah, Jaguars at 5
really
can do whatever they want. And Jaguars, the Jets even, you know, what if the Jets took Tyler Warren? That'd be crazy.
Yep, Jets too.
That'd be a great fit.
Yeah,
that'd be a great fit.
You know what?
Jace.
I've mentioned to people that say, oh, well, if Travis Hunter isn't at 4, trade back and take Warren or McMillan. And I'm like, they might not be there.
Yeah,
at 8 or 9 or 10.
You can't.
Because
yeah.
Warren and McMillan can get scooped up fast by one of these teams that have that flexibility.
If you're at 4 or 4 or right or 5, 6. You don't trade down for Warren. You don't trade down for McMillan. You don't trade down for Genty. You don't do any of that. You just take your guy. But Warren in New York with Fields and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, that all of a sudden you're looking, wow, like what? That wasn't a lateral step. That's an upgrade across the board. I mean, geez, that would be great. Jaguars definitely could go Tyler Warren. New England, even going Tyler Warren would be interesting because I'd be okay.
I've said all along, I'd be very happy with Hunter, McMillan, or Warren.
Yeah.
Any of those 3 for Drake May would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. You know why I've been holding off on Tyler Warren, just because his value is so high that he could land anywhere, and some of these spots will be trash. Like if he goes to like the Saints or something. The Saints would be horrible. He goes to Tennessee, like Tennessee moved down and took him, or if he was to fall to like the Colts, it's like I don't want him there. There's so many places he could go that wouldn't be great. Where it'd be amazing is it'd be New York Jets. The Jaguars would be really solid. The Patriots would be great. The Browns, they got Njoku. They probably wouldn't do that.
I don't think he'd fall. I don't think he's going to fall this far, but if he fell to Atlanta at 15, I could see them trading Pitts at that point. There's been whispers about maybe moving Pitts, and that would be the situation where I could see them, or just keep pitching up.
Can you imagine if they hadn't traded Pitts yet, though? The kind of flack they would get, like, bro, you took Kirk Cousins, or you signed Kirk Cousins, or you drafted Penix Jr. You got Kyle Pitts, you took an 8.
Oh yeah,
now you're like the Falcons would be.
Yeah.
The scary part is you got to make that trade before. The moment you draft Tyler Warren, Pitts becomes less valuable to trade because people are onto you.
Right.
But I don't know.
That's why I don't think it'll happen, because I don't think he drops that far anywhere. It'd have to be some type of, trade Pitts and trade up and grab Warren. It has to
hard to
take
say.
a lot to put it all together.
All right, let me go over to Rock Out real quick. Rock Out, you're live, my boy. What can I do for you? Rock Out.
Yeah, I've been looking more into like Aaron Rodgers. I think Pittsburgh probably the best spot for him, because in Pittsburgh's situation, as long as they go 500, you're safe as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. He's probably going there.
And Kupp would be a good spot with the Jaguars. They would have BTJ, Kupp, and then they also have De'Ami Brown as like the third receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Njoku or Ingram next season, says J Buck. Probably Ingram, my boy. I mean, Ingram's got nicks. Njoku's ranked higher, and I don't want him. I'd rather wait a couple rounds and get Ingram, and Ingram might be even multiple handfuls of rounds past Njoku. Who's Njoku catching the ball from?
Loves using that guy out of the slot like Ingram.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how, because it's going to come down to Bo Nix, and I think Bo Nix will use him. I think Bo Nix is not like a quarterback that you control as much as other quarterbacks like Kyler. Kyler, apparently, they have a remote control, and they just tell him where to throw the football, apparently.
Throw to that guy.
Whereas Nix is scrambling, second chance throws, and a guy like Ingram's, going down the field on a route that he was not designed to run, and he catches his 40-yard pass. I love Evan Ingram. Ingram was a great signing, and makes me wonder what some of these teams are doing. If I'm a GM, I know you've run out of money at some point, but a lot of these teams have cap. And how do you this is similar to the CMC trade a few years ago. How do you let other teams do this? I don't understand. Ingram's a great option. He's sitting out there, and nobody decides that this is a good idea but Sean Payton. And now everyone's talking like it's a great idea. And it's like, where was everybody else when this is going down? And he may have talked to some other teams, but I mean, come on. This is a great move by the
That's why I didn't get why no one stepped up to trade for him. Like,
I don't know, man.
You have to think they floated him out there. No one would have given up a late pick for him.
don't
taking
know.
a contract.
I don't get it, bro. Ingram is, he's one of the crafty. Like if everyone asks me every year, hey, because I've predicted some pretty big tight end, players to rise up from the abyss, from nothing. And Jimmy Graham was the first one I did on CBS radio, and then Fantasy Pros did a little spotlight on it. Highest in the entire industry on Jimmy Graham, according to their ranking analysis. And the same thing for TJ Hawkinson, his breakout year, his second year. And so ever since then, people are like, who's the next Hawkinson? Who's the next Jimmy Graham? And nobody saw Jimmy Graham coming at all when I dropped that prediction. Top 5 tight end. Everyone's like, who the hell is Jimmy Graham? This is when I kind of was early in my career on CBS and NBC Sports Radio. But ever since then, I have a lot of questions. Who do you like? Who's that tight end? Who's that gem? And I know Kincaid didn't land, and I'm not going to hit them all. I admit, I take a lap. I'm even admitting it. I'm trying to tell you that you can't be 100%. And I feel like Kincaid is a curious case because I don't think it was his fault. I don't even know what went on there. And Amari Cooper even going over and doing nothing is an example of why that situation is hard to understand and even fathom. But regardless, it doesn't make me stop being bold, or doesn't make me a pause as to how that went bad, or MHJ struggles a little bit. So what, we're going to run from Genty like a little baby? Oh, but in the past, I can't draft a rookie that high. We never blink. We don't care. We don't get scared. We're bold. We're ahead of the curve. We're extreme. We landed a bunch of other stuff, even though MHJ didn't quite land like we wanted. These things happen. You're never going to be 100%. But what we do is run back into the flames, and we're not scared to get burned. We get close to the sun, and to me, it feels like Evan Ingram is that player that is outside the top 10. Almost every single year, somebody, sometimes well outside the top 10, runs straight into the top 5. And Evan Ingram he's like the Jonnu Smith of this year, I think. And you know who else is the Jonnu Smith of this year? Jonnu Smith! Because he's going around 8 and 9, and I don't understand that. I sometimes can't even get to drafting Ingram because I'm sitting there looking at Jonnu Smith, who Superfish called, and Jonnu's sitting there in 8 and 9. I don't know, what did people get hit on the head as a whole, and they don't remember that Jonnu Smith broke out and had an amazing year? I don't understand why he's got an 8 and 9 round ADP, sometimes 10. But
Yep.
but anyway. What else? What else you thinking, Rockout?
Like,
All right. Well,
what do you think about Genty to the Raiders?
Genty to the Raiders is one of our favorite landing spots for him. So I don't know. We don't have a clue as to what. Really, there's no sign.
Or you think they go Sanders?
There's no sign as to what anybody's going to do. There's just nothing. There's no. The Dallas Cowboys were the most obvious choice, and I don't buy the reports that he's not going there, but I also don't have a vibe that he is, But I just think people need to be careful in assuming he's not. But San Francisco, tonight's live stream, I believe I'm going to come back again tonight, another live stream. I think it's going to be about the San Francisco potential trade of CMC, like that they're going to look, that there are people saying that they should do it. I'm not saying they will. We're going to come back and talk about it. If they did somehow trade CMC, then Genty could be a huge threat to go to the Niners at 11, which honestly would be okay. Like, I would be okay with that if there's no CMC there.
Well, yeah.
But that would be.
Window opens for him.
Yeah, and they're completely rebuilding, so it wouldn't be crazy. If you fired Kyle Shanahan right now and gave me the job, and you said, well, unfortunately, we made all these decisions for you already. Debo's gone. I already gave Ayuk the money. You have we let all the defensive players go. They lost so many players. The Niners lost so many players. And then you said, but we fired Kyle because of all that. Here's the job, Smitty. I would trade CMC. I don't think you could even, I don't know what the market is for him anyway, but someone might trade for him. Okay, whatever. Third rounder, whatever it is. I draft Ashton Genty. That's the only move, and he might not even fall. Like, I might even get aggressive and go get the Raiders 6 pick and go get Ashton Genty, because if I am rebuilding from the ground up, it would be around Ashton Genty. It would be build up the trenches. Ashton Genty, you got a pretty good wide receiver room. And I wouldn't give Brock Purdy the money. I know that. I'd make Brock Purdy play on this 1 year that he's got to play on. And then if he's as good as we think some people think he could be, not me, then guess what? You just franchise tag him. And then you say to Brock, you're now getting 40, whatever the money is next year, $45 million, the franchise tag, let's say. You're getting $45 million. You'll be fine. Okay? And if we believe in you enough, let's offer you an extension. If you don't take it, you play on the tag. But how does this guy who was the last pick in the draft get an early contract no matter what? I understand he played really good the year prior, but he had an elite top 1 running back, Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey was the number 1 running back in the league that year. George Kittle, Deebo Samuel in his prime. Ayuk playing good football at that point. This was a remarkable offensive line, a nasty defense, and Brock played great. He was good, and he played great because of the supporting cast. It all fell apart on him last year, and just like we said, when Trent Williams or CMC alone was ever out of the lineup, Brock played turned into a pumpkin. And Brock turned into a pumpkin. He turned into a pumpkin last year, and you're going to pay him $50 million per year? I would walk up to Brock Purdy and say, pull your big boy pants up. I'll even, if you can even do this on his particular contract, I'd give him a 1-year adjusted year raise, if you can even do that with his particular contract. A 1-year adjusted raise, they do that with franchise tag players, and you pay him, $2 million, whatever it is, just wet his beak. He comes in, he plays for you. And you tell him, if you earn this, man, if you go out there, if we can build around you and you earn it, you get paid even more. You get $60 million a year next year from us. But how does he dictate these terms? They don't have a team. The Niners don't have a team. I could fix this by drafting Genty, trading CMC, telling Brock, here's a little extra cash, sprinkle it on him. There you go. Now be happy. You were the last pick in the draft. And you're about to get paid a monster contract. Sit tight. You're still under contract. Then I franchise tag him and say, you're tagged. You're getting 45 million, Brock. Be happy. But here's your offer if you want it. There's your extension. The Niners are getting worked over and over by John Lynch and Shanahan's bad decision making. These guys don't know what they're doing. You know who ran things for years? Adam Peters behind the scenes, who just revamped, reshaped the Washington Commanders into the team that they are today. And without Adam Peters, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and the Niners are shitting the bed hardcore. And no one knows what they're doing. The Niner fan base is up in arms right now going, you lost half your team. You're not replacing any of them. You're going to go draft? Good luck. Oh, they're always good in the draft, Smitty. The Niners, that's where they got George Kittle. That's where they got all these players. And they did. You know who did it, though? Adam Peters. Adam Peters wasn't there last year. His first year gone. Over in Washington, drafting JD5, doing all the things he's done. Brought over Deebo Samuel this offseason. Guess what Adam Peters wouldn't have done last year that the Niners did? Drafted a wide receiver in round 1 when they didn't even need to use him. And their plan, the reason they freaked out and backed out of drafting Cooper DeJean, who everyone knew, and all the Niner fan base wanted DeJean. And we know how good Cooper DeJean was. And he wasn't just a surprise. We knew he would be that good. The Eagles completely blasted the Niners in the draft by announcing that A.J. Brown guaranteed money extension, which took Ayuk off the table because now Ayuk's market changed and any prearranged contract number that his agent had with the Niners and incoming team offers changed. Nope. Wait a minute. A.J. Brown just reset the market. That Ayuk money is not the same Ayuk money. And now the Niners are like, oh my God. And so they tried to trade Debo. You heard minutes after that announcement, 13 minutes before the NFL draft started, you had that announcement. That announcement of, oh, Debo is now maybe tradable by the Niners because they had to. They couldn't trade either one. They'd already drafted Ricky Pearsall. They crapped the bed. And so when someone says, oh, they're going to replace via the draft, how did that work out? They had some good picks in the draft. And I loved Garendo. But...
Well, you constantly hear people say, well, what do you mean? Pearsall is going to be a good player. And it's like you said, though, you took him in the first round. It doesn't. Yeah, he can be a good player.
Yeah,
but that's in the absence of a better player you could have.
Well, we'll talk about this tonight. I don't want to spill all the beans. I kind of went on too long anyway because we're gonna rehash this tonight. But from new perspectives. But let's get off the CMC topic real quickly. Let's go back over to the Cooper Kupp topic. Is there anything breaking right now? While I'm ranting and raving, let me just see here. We've got. Cowboys announced the signing of Solomon Thomas. We have what else we got? Just Cooper.
One thing that happened earlier when we were on the live stream earlier, actually, the Commanders signed Jonathan Jones, cornerback from the Patriots. It's just another really solid move for the team. He's not a superstar or anything, but just a really solid move for that defense.
Yeah, good role player.
Anyway,
Commanders and Patriots cooking.
And we should know. We should.
If you're going signing.
Yeah, we got that on here.
We
should know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. I think within 24 hours, maybe even tonight, and we should know what Cooper Kupp's doing within 24 hours, maybe tonight. Maybe both break tomorrow. Maybe one breaks tonight. Maybe both break late tomorrow, or both break by noon, or one breaks by noon. But I do think we'll have at least one by noon tomorrow, maybe tonight, and both of these situations ironed out within 24 to 30 hours, 36 hours, something like that. And once the Aaron Rodgers situation, the Cooper Kupp one doesn't affect anything. Once the Aaron Rodgers situation, that domino falls, then we have a clearer picture of where everyone's going to be racing. Teams are going to be racing, in this direction and that direction, specifically the New York Giants. Because the New York Giants are, I keep putting my arms on there. New York Giants are a team that potentially, the New York Giants potentially are going to make this trade and move up to the number 1 overall pick and really go all in on trying to move this up to the 1.1. I think they'll be happy with Shedeur Sanders at 3. And my guess is the more we're hearing negativity on Shedeur, the more likely that teams that are kind of scared to draft him will probably be even more scared to draft him. And so those teams being the Cleveland Browns, who have been messing up their quarterback situation ever since, they signed Watson, and they continue to just have this horrible situation. And Tennessee's a little afraid of Shedeur. So if Tennessee goes Cam Ward, and then Cleveland says, we just can't gamble on this, especially if they end up going in the direction of Kirk Cousins, which is the rumor right now, but that probably happens days from now. So it'll be a little while before we know what the Giants are going to do. We just need the domino of Aaron Rodgers to get taken off the board so that we know the Giants are sitting there going, well, what can we do then? And then we'll maybe see Kirk Cousins get traded, not get traded. The Falcons are looking to keep him on the roster. Then they're going to be committed to some money. Makes it complicated. But I think they're okay, selling him for a draft pick. If they can spend money and buy a draft pick, it makes sense to them because they feel like they can win now. And there's controversy and a little bit of concern of having him just linger around. But at the same time, I think this staff is confident in Penix Jr. And I don't think Penix Jr. cares one single bit. I think he's such a dog. But again, if the Aaron Rodgers domino falls and he goes to Pittsburgh, which is what I'm predicting, then we're going to have the Kirk Cousins maybe goes to the Cleveland Browns. And if that happens, Shedeur Sanders is almost a lock to not go to Cleveland because Cleveland can't afford to have 3 quarterback situations like that going on, in my opinion, where they got a pick they invested in a rookie, then they're spending money on Kirk Cousins, and they're still spending money on Deshaun Watson until they cut him in the offseason next year. So I think it's almost a lock that Shedeur will fall to 3. So they may or may not need to trade up. But Aaron Rodgers is the key to all of how the next steps go. And real quickly, let me go over to this caller from 901. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Mike from San Diego.
What's up, Mike? What can I do for you, bro?
Hey, just wanted to get your thoughts on what Cooper Kupp has left in the tank. Honestly, I was debating with some people earlier, and a lot of people think he's better than Adams for some reason, which I don't see that at all.
No.
But, what do you think he has left in the tank, essentially?
Yeah. What do I think he has left in the tank? I'll probably say that Cooper Kupp to me is a borderline wide receiver 4 in fantasy that you're just hoping to get wide receiver 3 out of. Devontae Adams is a high-end wide receiver 2 potentially, and you almost draft him there too, and you don't necessarily need to walk on eggshells about spending that kind of money because I don't know, he probably does almost certainly earn you back 1,000 yards, 6 touchdown, 70 reception season, which is what mid or late second wide receiver value could be. So I don't think it's that risky. I think that Stafford's a great situation. He's such a route running technician. I know Cooper Kupp was thought to be, but Kupp has had one elite season and a couple good seasons, but he's only been elite one time. And so Adams is a totally different, player. And on top of that, Adams finished on a high note. Cooper Kupp literally got lost and we don't know why. So they're not even close to the same, bro. It's not that Kupp couldn't outperform them and, anybody can get hurt, but their values are so far apart, it's not even close, bro. Adams is like handfuls and handfuls
I'm
of
talking
rounds.
more of a real-life standpoint.
Well,
I agree with you on Adams on everything.
Well,
I just think that there's a lot of people saying, why go pay more for Devontae Adams than Cooper Kupp? He's that far off. I disagree with it, but
that doesn't make any sense to think like that. If they weren't that far off, they wouldn't have made the move because Kupp knows the system. Clearly there's something wrong, and if he can't even produce at all, you got to wonder, what in the hell's going on over there. So, at the end of the day, it's something. It's something you just gotta. You gotta have faith that Adams has more left in the tank, and they both could plummet, and they both could be literally the same stats, and both be nothing burgers. But we didn't see a single sign of Adams dropping off last year. I mean, he finished really well. He went to 2 different places as well, which is a hard thing to do. And his sum total of stats was really good. He had 6 touchdowns, about 10 something. Yeah, he had a good year. So this is not even a debate. I don't know how someone could separate fantasy from NFL play in this debate. It makes no sense because Kupp did nothing. I'm hopeful he does something. If he goes somewhere, he probably won't be amazing in Jacksonville. From a fantasy perspective, I don't know. This is a wide receiver 4 or 5, maybe even 5. If he goes to New England as the sole provider for Drake May, he might sneak into low-end wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 4 value with a little bit more upside to not bust on you. But in Jacksonville,
Fantasy, that's one of the best places.
Yeah,
New England. It's got so many targets.
in Jacksonville, how can he do anything really? That's going to be super ultra significant. All right, hang tight. Or actually, anything else from you? You said Bill. Bill? Or
No, Mike.
Mike, I'm sorry. Anything else, Mike?
Mike. No. Yeah, the only other
Yeah, those sound alike. Bill and Mike. Close.
Anything else, Mike?
No, the only other thing I wanted to say was, do you think the Rams had anything to do with his production? Just not targeted at all?
Yeah. I
I felt like some of that was on them.
I mean,
it wasn't all on top.
I mean, like I said, if you go ahead and watch the footage and the film, that you can't identify really what's going on. Unfortunately, it doesn't really matter though. Just like Tyreek Hill, you watch Tyreek Hill, he's still quick. Doesn't make it. There's really nothing that explains it. There's nothing that explains why Tyreek Hill didn't produce at least a little more, and there's nothing that explains that Kupp didn't either. Especially when you hear reports like Kupp is in great shape. Like it doesn't make any sense, and he's not breaking his routes or anything like that. He's probably a little slower, but there's not. So we don't know. We don't know when they celebrate him catching the football,
detected at the front door.
and it's like, oh my God, Cooper Kupp, you caught the football, and this is late in the year, and they all hug him and stuff because he caught a pass. Like something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong. Him not complaining. Stafford not really standing up for him. His wife stood up for him in podcast interviews more than Stafford did. Stafford didn't even like put up a fight to keep him. If Kupp was still the same guy, Stafford would be like, "What are you doing?" And Stafford would have used him. So it's wild to me. I think to try and parallel, I think trying to parallel the production that Kupp didn't have with the fear that people have that Adams will get the same treatment is not a smart avenue to take, because Adams is a completely different player. And as much as Kupp had one of the best seasons ever in the history of the NFL, he has not even come close to Davante Adams in consistency, reliability, route running. He was a good route runner, no doubt about it, and he's a good player, but he's a product of Stafford in terms of what we actually, even that 2020, Triple Crown season, even the Triple Crown season in, what was it, 2021? That Triple Crown season was 60% Stafford. Maybe even more than that, because Stafford is the one, you're seeing it replicated with Puka Nacua. And if you think Puka Nacua is truly a top 3 or 4 wide receiver in this league, you are fooled. And it's okay that he is that guy when you can't separate situation from talent, and you can't. So there's no arguing what Puka Nacua really is giving you. He's giving you a top 5 wide receiver type of production. There's no denying that. You can't separate that. But if you think he's as talented as JJ or Jamar Chase or Malik Neighbors, you're fooling yourself. And you're imagining that the Rams are so good at drafting wide receivers, they just happen to continue to draft top 5 wide receivers over and over again. No, this is the same thing that happened with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He turned Randall Cobb, Jordy Nelson, Davante Adams into these wide receivers. And I believe that Adams wouldn't even be near the same player had he not been elevated and matured into that player by Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely.
So some of it retains with you. Like if Cooper Kupp leaves, I'm not saying Cooper Kupp can't take a certain level of skill he would have never touched or sniffed with him somewhere else, and he plays like a top 7, 8 wide receiver. I'm not trying to say you can tear him down to size, but there's just something about Adams coming to the situation that people get scared about, thinking, oh, he's going to get Cooper Kupped. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Puka's still the guy. I think Puka is still the guy that's going to get the most work, but you better not be drafting Puka as the wide receiver 1 or taking him in the top 4 right now like people were before Adams was traded to the Rams, because you're not going to get that kind of production out of Puka. You're going to get 12 overall, which is totally respectable. 11 overall maybe. St. Brown, who last year was awesome, but that type of expectation that we come in and year out for St. Brown. St. Brown, you got J-Mo coming up. You got offensive coordinator, change over in Detroit. Like where you're drafting St. Brown should be where you're drafting Puka Nacua, which is an amazing wide receiver. It's an amazing overall player. That's 12 overall. You're at the 12-13 bookend. You take St. Brown. You take a running back. That's JT. That's great. You take Puka Nacua and St. Brown together. That's perfect. But Adams is a problem. How much of a problem? Obviously not that much. If I'm still okay with Puka at 12, 12's fine. But yeah, taking him, he was going sometimes as a dark horse number 1 wide receiver in fantasy drafts. People were really, really overdrafting Puka Nacua. Which, without Adams, he could have earned that. But he's also very, very likely to get injured. Even if it's not this year, at some point in the next 1 to 2 years, the guy's going to miss a handful of games. He's the most reckless player you can find on film to his body as a wide receiver. he plays with a reckless abandonment for his own health and safety. And you admire it, and it's what makes him Puka. It makes him a dog, and you cheer for him. You love it about him. You don't want to change it necessarily until he gets hurt, and you're like, damn it. The likelihood of him getting hurt is extremely high. He puts in, it's not something that you say, oh, he's had a hamstring injury and you're trying to predict that. It's the way he lands on his arms, the way he flops his knees around, the way he jumps vertically for a ball that no one else jumps for. And that's part of the dog in him. And that's part of what makes him as good as he is, mixed with Stafford. But yeah, Adams, it's going to be interesting how good Adams becomes, and what that does to the dynamic. And this $5 hauler from Aaron says, hello, Smitty, finally back from my break. I'm happy with my Panthers and what they've done so far. Still need a wide receiver 1 for Bryce. Would love to land Higgins. Higgins isn't available right now, but if, let's say, here's the thing, that the report I have on Higgins and Chase, and I'll probably do a separate video on this so I won't dance around it too long, but essentially, I'm hearing, from pretty decent authority and multiple sources like that are not talking to me directly. I'm not trying to claim I've got someone in my ear about it from Cincinnati, but people I trust that are on the ground floor, beat writer level type stuff, that I don't know that I trust their sources, but I do believe they have, good feelers out for it. It sounds like they're still not super close on Jamar Chase, but they're not as far apart as people think, and they fully understand that they're paying him the top money in the league for a non-quarterback, and that's the way the Bengals are approaching this. They're on board with that. They're not trying to run from $40 million per year. Now, are they going to now go above 40 with the new contract that just got dropped from Miles with the $40 million per year? I don't know if they're going to. That might be where the struggle is they're like, look, we're paying you parallel to that. We're not paying you above that, and that could be where Jamar Chase is struggling. What I am hearing, though, is exactly what I predicted. And I don't have a concrete source on this, but it's pretty good authority that Higgins is asking for an astronomical amount of money, just like I predicted. He's not asking for $30 million. He's not asking for $30 million. So we'll see where that goes. That could create animosity. That could create that divide between team and player. And I'm almost positive the Bengals have zero desire to trade him right now, and he can play on the tag. But they also, from a lot of different reports that you hear, and especially I even heard this one on ESPN, they don't really want to deal with a holdout issue and have a slow start again. And this is coming from multiple people. And this is something we predicted and talked about on this channel, that slow starts are not what they want. They can't afford that. So there will be some open-mindedness to maybe some of the feelers that are out there before they really officially offer him up for trade if things don't go right. But Joe Burrow is on a campaign to do whatever it takes financially to make sure they overpay T. Higgins. So I still feel like there's 100% chance that, or 99.9999999% chance that Jamar Chase gets $40 million a year or more. And there's I would say still 60% chance the Bengals sign T. Higgins as well, but they probably will not have all three, Hendrickson, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. I'd almost say 0% chance of that. But there's a 40% chance now, which is greater than before in my mind, at least. This is my estimation, that T. Higgins could actually, it could get ugly, and then they start entertaining offers and see if anybody gives them what they want. But they're going to want a first rounder. They're like, I know everyone's going to say that's too much, but I don't think the Bengals are getting rid of T. Higgins for a second rounder. I think that they're going to say you're franchise tagged, you're going to play on the tag, or we get a first rounder. And I just don't know if a team's going to be willing to not only give up a first rounder for T. Higgins, but to also pay him $35 million per year, which is the only way a team's going to be able to acquire him, is overpay him to get him away from Joe Burrow. So this is going to be ugly, or it's going to end quickly and they just sign him quickly. I don't know. But Jamar Chase should be signed pretty quickly. But just to answer that question from Aaron. Aaron, thank you for that super chat. And Alec and Travis, I know. Hold on one second, Travis. Let me just get this one here. Off-topic tight ends. Njoku ranked 8 also looks... Wait, what? Off-topic of tight ends. And Njoku also looks great. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I like Njoku, but he can't stay healthy. Is that what you meant, Alex? You just like Njoku this year? Every year he looks good. And dude's a monster. Specimen, but he gets hurt a lot. Okay, go ahead, Travis, and then I'll go over to Ron.
So I was just going to say in terms of Aaron's question, I think with the Panthers, I think if McMillan is there at 8, they definitely take him. Almost no doubt in my mind. McMillan is still there at 8.
Yeah.
Panthers will take him.
All right, let me go over to Ron, and then I'll go over to Matthew. Go ahead, Ron. Matthew, thanks for waiting.
What's up, Ron?
What's up, Ron?
Hey, the greatest fantasy football show anywhere. Hosted by your buddy and my buddy, Bill. I mean, Smitty.
What's up? What's up, Dad Joke, Ron?
That's a good joke. You're always forgetting names. I swear.
Well, Ron, if
You're
you talk to as many people as I talk to a day, you wouldn't remember a single name either. What do you think about Cooper Kupp? What do you think about
more than you think?
What do you think about Cooper Kupp? Where do you think he's going? Jacksonville?
That sounds like it could, because I mean they got rid of several players there, so yeah. I mean Kirk, he gone, right? And
yeah.
who they got left?
BTJ.
They got the rookie, which is big, but yeah.
Heading to the moon.
Yeah. My thing is like you mentioned Cousins going to Cleveland, but I saw the report, and you probably did too, that Atlanta's planning on keeping him.
Well,
don't want to trade him because of the money.
So that's an older report. The newer reports are that they're keeping him for now, and they're going to commit to paying him, so they're not getting rid of him. But once that guaranteed money is settled, and I think Sunday, then there's a chance that they're pot committed to him being there and as a backup, but they're open-minded to then trading him. So it depends.
Yeah, but a team would have to want to take up, like, what is it, $27 million?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That it's if Cleveland were able to swing that, I don't know that they would. I don't know that they would want to with their money that they committed to Deshaun Watson, but they will cut Deshaun Watson next offseason, give him a lot of dead cap. But we'll see. I don't know why Cleveland would do it. To be honest, it's what everyone's reporting, but it doesn't make sense. Like why go get a quarterback that's 37? What is he? 37? He 37 years old? 38? Let's use a Zigmeister. He doesn't get a lot of usage these days. Ziggy, how old is Kirk Cousins? God, this sounds arcane.
Kirk Cousins is 36 years old and was born on August 19th, 1980.
Does anybody miss him a little bit? He's so soft.
He'll be 37 when the season starts.
He's so soft spoken. He doesn't get used anymore. 37 years old. So yeah, I mean, why would Cleveland? Why would they care? I don't understand why they'd even do it. It makes no sense not to just say, give us one of Sanders or give us one of Cam Ward and let's develop this quarterback. And if it doesn't work out, at least you're not spending $100 million. But we'll see. But Kirk Cousins still could get traded. But the word is that they're going to keep him, and it could be posturing and smoke, but they're going to keep him. If they don't get like a perfect offer, they might be totally trying to trade him. I think part of what it is, Ron, is if they keep him and commit that money to him, he becomes more tradable because he's getting paid already. So his contract's easier to swallow for a team like Cleveland. And so that's why they have to wait. There's no one's going to trade for him prior to Sunday is kind of my understanding of it. So he becomes tradable after they've kept him already. You know what I mean? But if they were to say, hey, we don't want him, then everyone's gonna think, oh, he's not, they don't want to keep him, so we can get him for free. So it's all about posturing. It's kind of like Tyreek Hill saying he wants out, and we believe he still does to a degree, but he had to walk it back so that he didn't ruin his trade market value. But yeah, I think Sunday he becomes cheaper, so we'll see.
Well, Okay. But then, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing, I mean, he does this every year. We got to wait around. It's like drama Rodgers every year for him to make a decision. Are you going to play or aren't you going to play? Make your decision, but not with Rodgers. It's like...
Yeah, but to be fair, it's only like over 24 hours that we're waiting. Like, if he makes us wait longer, we've heard that we'll know in 10 to 24 hours. So, I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but he does have to be the last of all these moves, which kind of goes and coincides with his style. But he's thinking about it quickly this time. I mean, he can't really afford to.
Hopefully, I don't know, but
he is so nonchalant
he
about it.
He brings a lot of drama.
He does.
On the off season.
I think it's your best move, though, Ron. As a Steelers fan, I know you're not loving really anything right now, but I mean, DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers as a system quarterback, a game manager is what he really be. That's pretty good.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that, but the thing is like we said last night, is Tomlin Dover likes to be wrong, and he might just pull, Russell back in. Okay, Cleveland's offering you this, we're going to offer you this.
Well,
we're not going to wait around.
Maybe. The problem is Russell Wilson leaving it all to go now talk to two different teams, the Browns and what was it? What was the Russell Wilson move?
Giants.
The what?
Giants,
yeah. That's a sign that they've pretty much spat on him. And I think that, he would crawl back if he didn't have another opportunity. But this is why I think Aaron Rodgers news breaks by like midnight tonight or by tomorrow by noon. Just because I think the Steelers are going to apply some pressure to get it, rushed along, because they're watching Russell Wilson go on these dates right now. And they're like, that is our backup plan over there. And our backup plan's about to sign. And we need to make a move. And so I think that they will usher this along in the next 12 to 24 hours, maybe 10 to 12 hours, maybe whatever, just to make sure. I think this is a sign. There's usually like when there's smoke, there's fire. Russell Wilson finally giving up on Pittsburgh and heading to go do interviews and, leaving the city to go is a sign that he's going, damn it, I got to go look now. So it tells me that the Pittsburgh Steelers are, and we know that they're committed to this, but that they're going to do everything they can. I don't know that the Giants will try and one-up anything. I think they're kind of like, we like it, but he's not the future anyway, and we've got a young team that we're trying to build up, whereas the Steelers are like, this is our plan A, and we're screwed if this doesn't go right. What if let's say, the Browns bring in Russell Wilson, which makes more sense than Kirk Cousins anyway. So the Browns bring in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson played on $1 million last year. He's paid $35 million by the Broncos, though. I don't know what he would get. I'm not sure what his amount would be. But Russell Wilson plays on a relatively cheap deal. It's going to be more than $1 million. But if that happens, the Steelers, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Giants, the Steelers got to go to the draft, or they got to go to Kirk Cousins, or they got to go to Jameis Winston. Those are the only options. The draft, Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins. And I know you love Kirk Cousins. That'd be your favorite move of all time. But oh man, Kirk Cousins. Yeah, no, can you imagine? That would not be good. That would not be good. That would be, if you want to get rid of Tomlin, maybe you're rooting for that, Ron. I just think he looks horrible. He looks flat. I don't think it was him.
He looks that way. So did Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, coming off the Achilles, looked like crap. And then toward the end of the year, he looked better. Now, Kirk Cousins
looked worse.
At least happened later than Aaron. So he could be in the same situation, because we all watched him throw. He wasn't getting off his back foot that good. He was still recovering. So he's had, he'll have the whole off season to recover, and plus the whole time that he didn't play, Penix came in.
We'll see.
He's been recovering, so there's no reason to think that he still can't play.
Plenty of reason. But I think you're right. There's a chance. I agree with that. And Joe Milton, Mark. Well, this is my dream come true. But the buzz on this is kind of subsided as of the last, I guess half a day. Maybe it's kind of funny. It's like, oh, that news is we haven't heard anything in a while. It's really been like 24 hours. Joe Milton to the Steelers would be really cool. I love that. We're hoping Joe Milton gets traded, Mark. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ron, you might not like that, but I love Joe Milton, bro. If you could trade Pickens, who is, what about taking like Polk or Javon Baker?
We're not trading Pickens.
You are trading. We got to bet on it. You got to bet on it.
We're not trading them.
Ron,
we're not trading them.
what makes you think Pickens is happy with what's going on? He's not going to be happy with watching.
What makes you think he's not?
Because DK just got all of that money and he didn't, and DK's coming to take the catches away from him. And his biggest gripe is not getting the ball. Now his biggest gripe is not getting the money. I think getting the ball is second on his mind. But you just set a wide receiver 1 next to him. He's unhappy on 2 fronts right now. He's unhappy not getting paid. He's unhappy that he doesn't get targets. And now you just dropped a wide receiver 1, a refrigerator that's going to consume everything. How is he not going to have a crying fit here in the next 24 hours? There's no way Pickens...
Yeah, but Metcalf is good, but he's got his little things too. I mean, he's got this big body. He's got this great big... But... he was way below par for 50-50 balls last year. He couldn't catch the 50-50 ball for crap.
He's the guy.
Yeah. Okay.
You can sit there and try to get me riled up about it, but I still say Pickens don't go nowhere. And the thing is, I hope they get Rodgers, but I know Rodgers, and Rodgers is like so difficult to deal with in the offseason. That's for sure. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd almost rather.
Hey Kruger. What's the likelihood that George Pickens gets traded out of the Pittsburgh Steelers environment and goes to, let's say, New England? Give us your best guess, Kruger.
It's always tough to predict trades with absolute certainty, but George Pickens has shown a lot of potential. If the Steelers feel they're not maximizing his talent, they might consider trading him. The Patriots could be a fit, given their need for a strong receiver. It's definitely possible, but we'll have to see how the market shapes up.
He kind of repeated himself from last night. That was the same thing from last night.
Yeah.
he's firing back on repeat on that one. That's okay, Krug. You can't win them all. Ron, I don't see how he stays. Give me one good reason why he combat something that I said, or combat everything that I said.
What do you mean combat?
Or a rebuttal.
Because there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams with double threats, and you got Chase and Higgins. You got all sorts of two receiver tandems out there.
That doesn't.
So yeah,
that's from the coaching perspective or the team perspective, Ron. I'm talking about Pickens. Pickens just complained about not getting the ball, and you trade for DK Metcalf, who's a possession jump ball wide receiver, clear one threat. You could say
if he's clearly not that happy this year, then the thing is he's not up for contract till next year. So either he plays on his current contract.
That's the point, Ron. He's going to request a trade.
He makes him look, or if he acts up, he hurts himself to go somewhere else next year because people don't want to put up with the attitude. So he's going to have to mind his P's and Q's because who wants a receiver with an attitude? Nobody.
You think he thinks that deeply about it? He doesn't care. He's going to say, "Give me the money." How are you going to pay DK Metcalf? He just got here. You're going to pay him what do you get? $33 million a year? $33 million a year. You're going to pay DK Metcalf $33 million a year, and I've been sitting here, and you're not feeding me, allowing me to prove that I deserve that money. This is the last thing in the Ron.
What happens? What happens if the Steelers, because we have a lot of money to spend, what happens if the Steelers say, okay, we'll negotiate a contract with you and give you 33 also?
I don't understand the point.
We'll give you the same deal we gave Metcalf.
They're not doing that.
They can afford it.
They're not going to do that. I'm like,
how do you know they're not going to do that? You don't know. I mean, they don't have to make any decisions right now.
Okay, huh? But Ron, then if they did that, then he's staying. But what I'm saying is he's going to put up a fuss to get traded or request that money. Sure.
That's your prediction. That's your prediction. That doesn't mean that he is.
I know, but I just you haven't given one.
You're just predicting
but
it.
You haven't given one rational reason why anything I said isn't true. You haven't said one rational thing to combat what I said. Not one. You're merely
because
talking.
He already knows.
You're merely talking from the team perspective.
He can have a great year this year coming up with Metcalf there because he already knows what it's like not to have a valid, good number 2 receiver. And they're 1A and 1B, and so yeah, he's probably tough because that'll probably enable him. That'll take extra pressure off of him.
Oh,
and he'll dominate. He knows he'll dominate one-on-one against anybody.
There's 0% chance he's pumped. That they just brought over a $33 million. They brought over his replacement. And they're paying him $33 million per year. They clearly love him more than Pickens.
His replacement?
Ron, he's getting paid $33 million per year.
You didn't. Wait a second.
What are you talking about here?
Ayuk last year. Would Ayuk been his replacement?
What?
They're different types.
What are you talking about? Ayuk got paid. What he got paid because the Niners thought he's their number 1 wide receiver. We knew that this like him getting injured and him having a bad season doesn't mean that the Niners didn't believe he was the number 1 wide receiver. We all laugh at the contract and we understand what's going on.
No, that wasn't my question. My question was if the Steelers would have ended up signing Ayuk, do you think Pickens would have been like, you're replacing me?
Hey Ron, is there a way to turn your volume down a little bit, the speaker volume? Because you're 10 times louder than everybody else, so no one can hear Travis or anybody. Because I have to move the mic away from the. I don't know if there's any volume control there.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll talk a little soft.
It's just
because last night you were talking about how nobody could hear Travis. So
I know. I finally got Travis in everybody else's volume, and then Ron comes in with the megaphone.
You know me, I always go high.
No, it's the mic though. It's the setting. It's not necessarily your voice. But Ron, this makes no sense though. I'm not trying to rally. I promise you, I'm not trying to rile you up. You're saying that DK Metcalf is pumped because that Pickens is probably pumped because they brought in you could say an equal at least in his mind. Or in most people's mind, if we're just gonna make this simple, I think DK's better. But you bring in an equal, a wide receiver 1A, a 1B, and
DK's not better. DK's not better. His production hasn't been better.
Ron, the Steelers clearly believe he is. They're paying him $33 million per year.
But he's not better.
I believe he is.
But he's not better.
I believe he is. But they're paying him $33 million per year. Explain to me how George Pickens can be happy about this. He can't. He can't, Ron. There's no way. If someone out there, everybody picture yourself in your workplace, wherever you work, and they bring in someone new to do your job, and they pay this guy, I don't know what this would be. What's Pickens getting paid? It's I'm sure this has got to be like 25 times the amount of money. Imagine somebody making 25, not double, not triple, not quadruple, not 10 times, not 15, 25 times your salary, and they sit them right next to you in the cubicle next to you, and you're going to go, woo! Woo! We're going to get a lot of TPS reports out this year. I'm excited. I'm not going to go to the management and ask for a raise. Woo! What a team!
Was Garrett Wilson pumped last year when Devontae came?
What does that have to do with anything, Ron? The answer is probably if he's getting paid $0 like Pickens is compared, and they brought Adams in and they gave Adams a $33 million per year deal. No, Garrett Wilson would not be happy. Nobody would. The example I just gave anybody, raise your hand if you would be sitting quietly if they bring in a person to do your job right alongside of you and they pay him 20 to 30 times more what you're making. You're not going to put up a stink and say, get me to another department if I guarantee.
Because it's not time for his payday yet. It's not time for his payday. He's still on his rookie contract.
Oh. He's understanding of that. Come on, Ron.
But
it is time for him to get paid.
Forget one thing. This all is depending on.
Come on.
If he has a chance to play with Aaron Rodgers, I think he's fine. If he doesn't get Aaron Rodgers, then he might not be as fine. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on Rodgers because you're bringing in a Super Bowl winning quarterback that actually is the quarterback that the last time the Steelers went to the Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers beat them in the Super Bowl. So there you go.
Oh, Ron. This is one of those stances you're digging in.
I'm not digging in.
You are digging in.
You're digging in.
No,
you're
I'm
digging
not.
In the
Ask the audience.
I'm digging
ask
in
ask the audience if I'm digging in on the stance or if you're digging in. And they're not just going to say me. There's times where people disagree with me, Ron. It happens all the time. But there's not a person on this phone line or in this live stream that's going to say I'm digging into this topic. I'm just breaking it down as logically as possible. You're literally trying to argue that the receiver getting paid dog water money that just got through complaining and bitching and moaning the entire season about not getting the ball, has no quarterback currently, and they bring in a receiver to play the same position, and he's the number one. He's the number one because he's getting $33 million per year. Maybe you don't agree, but the Pittsburgh Steelers don't agree with you because they're paying him the $33 million per year. Not to mention, if I was his agent, the only thing I whisper, sweet nothings into his ear is, hey, George, if you get traded, the team that trades for you will 100% pay you a bag. He gets paid if he initiates a trade. You think he's going to go, I don't want to be traded. You know what? If I get $30 million per year, $27 million per year, he's not going to get what DK gets. If I get $30 million per year, let's say, you're telling me I get $30 million per year by just creating
He's not up. He is not up for a contract yet.
Ron, you always get signed at this time in a contract. This is the typical time that it happens to save a player from exploding in value.
The Steelers aren't obligated to trade him. Even if he wants to be traded.
What's that have to do with anything? What's that have to do with anything? I'm not talking about if the Steelers are obligated to trade him or want to trade him. I'm talking about Pickens putting up a fight so he can get traded, create an uncomfortable divide so he can get traded. Of course they don't want to trade him. They've got two wide receivers and one of which they're only paying. The other one's not getting paid anything. Of course the Steelers don't want to trade him. I feel like you're just going in a new direction. I can't go that way anymore. Let me go this way.
You're going off of Pickens' history. You don't think other teams, other general managers out there aren't going to go after his history and say, I don't want to bring a head case on my team. Why do I want to bring a head case on my team that's going to complain all the time?
Okay, okay. Do you agree that Travis probably agrees with me that Pickens is an absolute head case, right? Travis, would you take Pickens?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I would love Pickens, and I'll tell you another thing.
And he knows he's a nut.
I up for Pickens last year when you said Pickens was a head case. I said, let's see, maybe he'll get a little better. He didn't. He got worse. He's a mental case, and I would happily take
I
the
didn't-
Patriots.
I didn't say Pickens was a head case last year.
No, when Smitty did.
I did. And he's
Smitty
saying,
always does that. Smitty always makes takes like that. He also said for the first 2 years I was listening to the show that Derrick Henry was gonna
now Ron's trying to
He's gonna
dig.
get injured.
Now Ron's trying to dig for anything that has nothing to do with it to try and
That's the big-
let me try and sting you. Let me
That's
try
the
and
biggest
sting you,
sell-off.
Smitty. Let me bring up Derrick Henry. I'm not
Let's
gonna.
bring up Addison.
I'm not.
Who
I'm
you
not.
thought would be
I'm not going to get in a
and he would
Ron.
be, because he's with Jefferson.
Ron,
and he didn't go to
I'm
a
not going to
place
get in a
with
stick
number
measuring.
one wide receiver.
I'm not going to get in a stick
Addison's
measuring
been phenomenal.
contest and say, "Oh, what do you want me to do? Pull out my JD stick and let's measure that." Like, what are we going to do, Ron? Go back and forth on things that I missed, Ron? Let me save you the time. I'm making a 70% accuracy type of percentage on everything I say in my best year. You could find multiple things I'm missing on. Like, I don't know why you go in this direction.
As we all,
But what are you
Smitty.
even trying to
I
prove
just
here?
told
What do you?
wrong.
But
the thing is you're acting like it's concrete that it's absolutely going to happen that the Steelers are going to trade Pickens.
I'm not.
And that's only your opinion.
I'm not saying it's concrete. I'm saying that you think George
You're
Pickens is
acting like
happy.
it is.
I'm saying that it's near concrete. He's unhappy. Absolutely. Like, how could you not see or understand that he would be upset when he's been upset his entire time in Pittsburgh? Now he's gonna be happy.
Show me one video or any type of article that talks about him being upset right now.
Who says he's trying to let them know that right now, Ron? He was upset all year.
No, Pickens actually saying he's upset.
Because he's probably trying to
one
get
article or one video where Pickens is going out on social media or anything saying that he's upset right now.
Ron.
Show me.
Ron, it doesn't work that way. There's not just going to be videos out there. He's maybe working to try and do exactly what you said, get money, and if they don't give it to him, he's going to want the hell out. He's probably not happy at all. His agent's probably saying, shut the hell up. Let's see if we can get you a bag off the piggy bag off of DK's. If they won't do it, we'll trade you. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but you're acting like it's a great thing. He's excited about it. He's welcomed DK with open arms, got him a bouquet of flowers, and this is going to go in a great situation. And you're saying that I'm digging in. That was the part where this got off the rails. You're the one. You're the one digging in. You're the one digging in. I'm not digging into anything.
Pickens has already come out when DK got there, and we talk about they both wear number 14. Pickens has already said, "Hey, give me number one and the number one, and I'll give him 14. It's no big deal to me."
It's Mother Teresa.
He's already said that.
Ron.
Let me have number one, and he can have 14.
Ron, I'm not saying that he gets traded. The Steelers have to be on board with this. I'm not saying this gets crazy messy.
Crazy?
I'm saying
me
saying
being a fan and wanting it to work out, or you being an outsider, not a fan of the Steelers, and just wanting it to blow up.
Or I'm just logically.
I'm going for the positive.
Or I'm just logically.
I'm looking at it positive.
I'm not looking at it negative.
Positive manner.
I'm not looking at it negative. I'm looking at it logically. I'm looking at it logically. I'm telling you what I believe that the course of this thing is probably going in a negative direction. Probably. I never said it was guaranteed. I never said it was 1,000%. I said that you cannot imagine a world where George Pickens is happy right now. He's been upset his entire career.
You wouldn't have made me the bet. If you didn't think it was 1,000%, you wouldn't have made the bet.
No, it's not 1,000%. I don't think it's 1,000. What are we talking about here, Ron? You're going in 1,000 different directions, man.
No, we're not. We're not going in any 1,000 different directions.
Ron,
you're holding on to the fact that you believe that Pickens is going to throw a tantrum and that'll get him traded. And I'm saying no,
maybe
it's not going to happen.
Traded. Maybe.
There's not 1,000 different
maybe.
directions. There's only two directions
No. You started going into Derrick Henry. You started pulling up Derrick Henry and Addison out of nowhere, bro. You're like, let's get out the sticks.
Because I'm not always wrong, Smitty.
I'm not saying you're always wrong. No one said anything of the sort. It's just.
I don't think I'm wrong about this. So there you go.
We got gifted memberships from BBQ, dropping 20 gifted memberships. Thank BBQ on the way out the door. Ron Navy, ladies and gentlemen. Never fails to entertain. All right, hold on. We got someone else on the phone line. Poor guy's been sitting there forever. Who is this? Matthew. Matthew, right?
Yes, Matto.
Matto. Okay. I have a new phone line, so. Matto, what do you think of this argument?
I don't know if I want to get in.
No, go. We want.
I kind of.
We want you
I
in.
tend to agree with Ron just a little bit. I don't know that they're going to trade him, or he certainly is not.
Hold on. I didn't say he was guaranteed to get traded. I said he's going to put up a fight so he can try and get paid. Yeah.
Yeah, that certainly. Yeah, I can back that, but I don't think he goes anywhere.
Maybe not.
The one caveat, and I think Ron mentioned it. He said, "There's nothing really out there negative. If we find one negative social media tweet, just one, right? I think it'll blow up the whole thing, and then I think it possibly could get traded."
Okay, but why do you think he wouldn't be negative right now though? His agent's probably saying, "Look, if you go nuts right now, like they're in the mood of paying, like let's make you a model citizen for as long as we think it's a possibility you could get extended." And the moment they feel like they're running out of time, which is the NFL draft, then they're going to probably, say that, Pickens is unhappy. Look, how could he in logical terms be okay with being the main guy there and DK coming in and immediately being handed $33 million? It just doesn't make it. He's a person. He's a human being. And on top of that, I would be upset. The calmest person in the world would be upset. But Pickens has been a head case.
DK went to go talk to him.
Yeah, he's been a head case.
Even if a leader like DK said, "Hey, bring in here, let's talk about this," in his own mind, he's furious. I agree with you 100%.
And on top
even
of,
if he's trying to mentor him, there's no way.
And on top of that, it's like he has been so unhappy about getting the football. Having DK Metcalf there only amplifies that problem. And there's no quarterback there. Like what? I'm sure, and Ron's got a point that he's maybe waiting for that information to know if he wants to really put up a fight to get a contract extension there, or say, I just want out, Like if they brought in a quarterback he doesn't believe in, or they say, hey, we're, let's say they brought in Danny Dimes, which I think is a joke, to be honest with you, in Indianapolis. I don't know why there's so much buzz around Daniel Jones right now. A lot of people are like, oh, he's going to take the job and this is interesting. And it's like, I get it. And they should just trade AR5 if they believe that. If they believe that Daniel Jones has the capability of being their future, then they should just trade AR5 and let some other team try and develop him. It's wild to me. But if they brought in, let's say, Danny Dimes and DK's like, I'm out of here, like he's probably waiting just a little bit of time just to see what happens so he knows what he's leveraging, he knows what he's looking at. But there's almost zero chance he's just going, huh. I was complaining like a bat out of hell before.
How do you know that Omar Khan, the Wizard, with all these deals, is saying it hasn't sat Pickens down and said, listen, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to go through our free agency, and we're gonna get the people we need to, and then I'm going to sit down and we're going to talk about doing a contract extension.
I didn't say he.
How do you know Omar's not already done that?
I didn't say he.
Ease the tension.
I didn't say he didn't.
He might have.
Though.
You don't know that.
I didn't. Ron, I just said I didn't say he didn't do that. I'm not saying anything of the sort.
There you go. Omar's the type of general manager that could do that.
He could.
Probably him and Tomlin sat him down and said, listen, this is the direction we're going in, and let us get through free agency and our signing. And they just got Slay, which I think was a good signing. And
50 from BBQ.
Let us get through this, and then we're going to sit down and we're going to talk to you about contracts.
I'm not suggesting that conversation didn't happen. And maybe I don't think that changes the fact that he's completely unhappy though, Ron. So yeah, if there's a way Omar's able to fend, and the reason that we got radio silence right now is because he's feeding DK a line about addressing this or addressing that. But I'm telling you, as the draft approaches and his agent and him don't have a contract in front of them that they like, that is going to be the pressure point that's going to maybe have him requesting a trade. I'm not suggesting this is a lock. I'm just telling you, and this from the beginning, that there's a high likelihood, very high likelihood, that we hear a lot of buzz on this and about this, regardless of how it ends up. I'm not guaranteeing that he gets traded. That the Steelers could say, screw you, do whatever you want, hold out, we don't care, we're not trading you. We're not trading you. We'll franchise tag you, the next year, whatever. But I'm just merely saying he's punching the air. There's no way Pickens isn't punching the air. Remember when I said that Ayuk was mad? And Raj and all the Niner fans were saying Smitty's trying to pretend he knows what Ayuk's thinking or what Ayuk's doing. They said, Smitty said Ayuk's mad. How do you know what Ayuk is? How do you know Ayuk's mad? How mad did Ayuk get?
That's a different situation.
Well, it's nearly the exact same situation. And it's nearly the same type of personality. It's a very similar situation.
Ayuk?
Guys, come on. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. In the chat, is the Ayuk situation?
Ayuk had a Pro Bowl season the year before. Was he not the top receiver on the Niners? He had a Pro Bowl season. Right? Pickens hasn't had a Pro Bowl season this year. Whether because probably he's had to deal with different.
Hold on 1 second. I got to merge this call.
Hey, Sean.
And he hasn't learned all the reps that Ayuk has. So Pickens, Pickens is still a work in progress.
Ron, it's the same situation though. It's a receiver. I think you're trying to compare numbers and things like that. It's the same situation. It's a wide.
You're trying to compare the Ayuk situation. What's the difference?
That's what I'm trying
to. If I compare something,
that's what I'm trying to explain. That's what I'm trying to explain. It is the same situation. Ron, there's no talking to you tonight. There's no talking to you tonight. I'm literally trying to tell you why the Ayuk situation is the same, and you're in the middle of saying, you just said the Ayuk situation was the same, while I'm explaining why the Ayuk situation is the same. Clearly, I think it is.
No.
Okay, let's ask the audience. Ask the audience.
Off a Pro Bowl season.
Ask the audience. Is the Ayuk situation?
Pro Bowl season. How is it the same?
Ron. Oh, Ron.
No, answer me.
How is it the same? I was just telling you. I was just telling you, and you started to say, hey, if you're going to compare it, and I was in the middle of explaining it. Look, I understand the numbers, the stats that he put up on the field are different.
Right.
But George Pickens was the number one wide receiver. Ron, you want me to explain it or not?
Hey, let me do you a favor.
He doesn't want me to
just move on with the show. Everybody's probably getting tired of listening to this, so just move on. We're good.
All right. Let me go over to who's next. John, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I kind of agree with Ron on this. George Pickens isn't mad because the dude he's mad because Mike Tomlin. If you go back and look at Roethlisberger towards the end of his career, he was getting tired of Mike Tomlin. If you look at Le'Veon Bell, tired of Mike Tomlin. And Antonio Brown, who was a fifth-round draft pick, was phenomenal for 4 years. Didn't like Mike Tomlin. The dude has a problem going to the podium and talking and being gracious to all the reporters. It's a Mike Tomlin problem. I hate to say this to you, but when the stars line 6 years in a row and it happens again and again.
What's this have to do? What's this have to do with it? What's this have to do with Pickens? What are you talking about? How is Ron right in this when you're talking about Tomlin? And Tomlin's, got a problem. Tomlin's problem.
If you're Pickens is upset because he has nobody to throw the ball to him. And if you think that DK Metcalf is any better than Pickens, you're wrong. If you go back to college,
I'm not wrong.
DK Metcalf played at Ole Miss, and he didn't.
I don't care. I don't care what. Look. Tom Brady wasn't good at college.
He didn't have more than 700 yards.
Who cares? I don't care. I don't care. I look at my eyes. I look at my eyes. I look at my eyes.
700 yards.
I look at my eyeballs. My eyeballs make the determination. Not always college stats. Bucky Irving wasn't as good as he is right now. Things change. DK Metcalf's an elite player. That's my opinion. I'm not wrong. You might think I'm wrong, and I think you're wrong. I might be wrong on that. It's just an opinion, but I would take DK Metcalf over. I would take DK Metcalf over George Pickens in a millisecond. And guess what? The Pittsburgh Steelers would too, because they just paid him $33 million per year. They just paid him $33, and you saying it's a Tomlin problem? It's a Tomlin problem. He's not mad about anything, but Tomlin. This is part of what he's mad at, is that Tomlin brings in another wide receiver, pays him $33 million per year, and doesn't pay him. I don't care if it's a Tomlin problem. He's still pissed off. It doesn't matter what it's rooted in. He's going to want out at some point, or want his bag. And if he doesn't get his bag, and let's say for some reason he wants to stay, he's going to put up a fuss. He's going to get upset. And that's my prediction. I'm not saying I have a crystal ball, but I can't for the life of me understand how anyone, especially two of you, believe that Pickens is just fine. He's just going to sit back. Well, guess what, John? Tomlin's still there. So if Tomlin's the problem, he's still upset, and he's still going to complain, and he's still going to want his money or want out. If he hates Tomlin that much, he's going to want to trade for that reason alone. What are you talking about?
I make a quick point on DK too.
Yeah.
His level of play. In terms of, I know some people don't like him and don't think he's that good, but we talked about it on the fantasy court. One, in 6 years, he hasn't had less than 900 yards and hasn't had less than 5 touchdowns. He's insanely consistent, and that's with subpar quarterback play, changing, Shane Waldron, changing offensive coordinators. Like, if he gets a guy in here that can feed him the ball, he's got elite talent for sure.
No one's saying Pickens isn't good.
Geno Smith did great for Seattle. Geno Smith.
Ron, you got to turn. Ron, you got to turn the phone down somehow. You got to turn the phone down somehow, because I can't have everybody on the phone line with that type of volume, and then no one can hear the other callers. Then I got to keep moving it back and forth. Is there a way to move the phone away from your mouth, or go on speaker or something, just so that everybody's the same volume? Otherwise, it becomes a night. Try it.
Is that better?
A little bit, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
No, I mean,
perfect.
DK Metcalf, he's a really good player, but he's not a great player. He hasn't been elite in a few years. We all know that.
We don't all know, Ron. We don't all know that.
He was on pace for 1,300 yards.
How many balls did he drop that he should have caught?
Ron, we don't all know that. Clearly, people have a disagreement here of DK versus Pickens, and that's okay. There's no reason someone can't like Pickens over DK or DK over Pickens. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you can't have that take, nor could I. But I think you got to realize that a lot of people like DK more than Pickens. You just got to accept that fact. Whether you agree with it or not, there's a lot of people that feel that way. And there are some people that like Pickens over DK. It's fine. I disagree with the take. And nor do I think Pickens he's in a top 10 class of talent, physical talent. But up here, his head, his inability to grow as a player, a person, probably he's gonna fall behind in a lot of ways too. He's gonna be like Deontay Johnson, where everyone thinks he's this player, they're gonna continue to believe he is, and then something's not gonna connect. That's the way I feel about Pickens. So there's no denying that he has the same physical talents as some of the top 10 wide receivers. Him and DK have a different skill set, so it's even hard to compare their physical abilities. But if you put a gun to my head and said who's going to outperform the other, and you stick both of them in any environment, my guess is DK Metcalf comes out on top. Just because I don't think Pickens can tap into it all. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. What?
I'm happy to stay there. I think with DK and Pickens combination, because DK runs routes that Pickens doesn't run. DK runs a lot of over-the-middle routes that Pickens doesn't run. So I think they complement each other. I'm glad DK's there, and I really don't care. I mean, I think their numbers will be comparable as long as they get if they get Rodgers, I think their numbers will be comparable.
Okay,
If they get
okay,
stuck with a,
but this isn't even where we wanted to go with this. Like who cares about this debate? We have difference of opinion of DK versus Pickens. The bottom line is how do you in your right mind think that Pickens isn't going to have a complete meltdown? Like not saying it's guaranteed, but the likelihood, if you had to predict the likelihood that T. Higgins is going to hold out, there's reason to believe that T. Higgins would hold out, right? You're looking at the history of players that get franchise tagged. You're looking at kind of how he's talked about things in the past. You're making a prediction. Like you thinking that I'm crazy for predicting Pickens to request a trade is almost as crazy as trying to like go at someone that has a take that T. Higgins is going to eventually hold out if he doesn't get his money.
You're crazy. I never used the word crazy.
It's very predictable.
Don't use words that I haven't used. I just don't think you're right. I think I have a different opinion. I think the opposite, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm okay with your opinion, but I never said you're crazy for having that opinion. Well, I just disagree with it.
I mean, it feels like there was a little bit more to it than that, but it's fine. It's fine.
You think I'm crazy?
Well, I kind of do. And I kind of do because you're not even considering the situation though. You're just thinking about what you want or what the Steelers want. You know, hey, the Steelers are, this could be good for him. He's actually gonna, maybe do better if this happens. Kind of similar to the.
There's also been a history in the league of crazy players that acted up that's actually matured some and actually gotten better.
I think with the Steelers.
Who knows? Maybe they sat down and they talked to him all year. Maybe they've been having discussions with him. Maybe they even asked him before they did the deal with DK. What do you think about bringing in DK? This is what we're thinking about. Like I said, one more time. You don't know. You don't know.
Ron, he wants the ball. He's been complaining about getting the ball. Let's bring in the biggest target in the NFL. How do you feel about it? Let's do it. What do you think about paying him $33 million a year? Let's do that too.
He wants a quarterback other than
Ron, this reminds me, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault because you're a diehard Steeler fan. Although you could be as hard on them as any person could be hard on a team they hate. But this reminds me a lot of the Najee Harris take. When they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, you're like, this is good. It's going to make him play better, and they're going to want to sign him to a long-term deal. And I'm sitting there going, Ron, when you don't pick up a fifth-year option, you're saying goodbye to the player. And you're like, no, this will be good. He'll sign a long-term deal. And Najee did pretty good last year, but they didn't retain him. To
a bigger deal. He's got the incentive to play hard because they didn't pick up his fifth-year contract. I didn't say
but that doesn't.
But he did play hard.
No, you were saying that it was gonna. You were gonna say it was gonna lead. No, you said it was gonna lead to him coming back. That they were gonna sign him to a deal after that. And I'm just saying that in terms of how these contract situations work, time and time again, this feels like there's a high, almost guaranteed likelihood that we're gonna hear from Pickens really soon. That's all I'm saying. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it. I'll be baffled. I'm not going to sit here and go, next time I'm going to approach that differently. I would approach it this way 10 times out of 10 times because history tells me what we know about Pickens, how Pickens has run his mouth, how Pickens has operated and conducted himself on the field and on the sideline and off the field, and the way these things happen in these exact situations. I would bet on this 10 times out of 10 times. I don't care if this doesn't work out. This is as clear as it comes to see this thing go this way. But could I be wrong? Sure. Anything is possible.
We have the bet in place. You need to move on with the show and get out. We've been
I don't know. People are fine with it. Go ahead, John. Final thoughts. Then I actually got to get out of here.
Hey, would you, in Dynasty, if you're in a rebuilding team, would you trade the 1.2, the 1.12, and the 2.2 to try and get BTJ?
The 1.2, the 1.12, and the 1. What?
1.2, 1.12, and 2.2 rebuilding Dynasty, 12 team, start 10.
Yes. Go get BTJ, do it live. Absolutely. The only reason I
Appreciate it.
wouldn't,
I'm in.
yeah, the only reason I wouldn't is if Genty was there or something. But you know, yeah, definitely. And yeah, go get DK Metcalf, John. All right. Thank you for the 50 gifted memberships. The double shot of 50 gifted memberships by BBQ. Look at, they're still going. They're still. I had to. Hey, Spiffy, where you been? Remember, Spiffy, that's you, right? That's the guy. That Spiffy's the guy that drafted the double tight ends, and we tried all year long to help get rid of one of them. Spiffy in the building. All right, rock out. Final thoughts.
Yeah, as far as Chicago getting all those linemen, you think they would go after Genty? It's not far-fetched.
Oh, no, he's one of the top targets for them. Absolutely. The only way Chicago passes on Genty at this point, given Ben Johnson's, creating the offensive line without touching the draft, is if he goes to the Raiders at 6 or a team trades up. I mean, you might as well write Genty into the Bears if he's there. But maybe he won't be there. Maybe 10 is too late. Maybe they move up for him. Ben Johnson, maybe like Gibbs, they want to go up and get it. Who knows? Hard to say. But certainly think there's a strong possibility he's a Chicago Bear. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not disgusted by it either, because the offensive line has been built pretty well. And again, people don't realize that the Bears offensive line was not bad last year. They just assume it was. They assume it was because Caleb was the most sacked quarterback in the National Football League. But the offensive line was not bad. Caleb held onto the ball way too long, and that's one of the big problems that people are overlooking with Caleb. They, performance-wise, they were number 8, I believe, in pass blocking. Number 8. The Chicago Bears were number 8 in pass blocking last year. And people just don't understand it. They don't understand what time it is. So if Genty went to the Bears, I mean, look, Swift had a good year. If he went to the Bears, even with a more improved offensive line, a more improved, mind running things and orchestrating and architecting, I think Genty would do well. I just don't want him in that franchise. They're just. I don't think Caleb is going to become elite. I think he could become good. I don't think he'll ever be great, but I think he could become good, just like Jared Goff was very mediocre before the Lions kicked things back into gear and Ben Johnson got things cooking. Goff was a joke to a lot of people, and now all of a sudden he's a good quarterback. He should be extended. People were supporting the extension, so that's how good Ben Johnson could be. We'll see if he's good at all these other coaching decisions. So far, so good. He's making good acquisitions, good moves. But this is a silly organization, man. So would I rather him be somewhere else? Yeah, but you know what? It would be okay. Genty would thrive. So I'm not wanting to root for the Bears too. That's another thing that kind of it doesn't want to. I'm going to be rooting for Genty every Sunday and watch Bear games. But it is what it is, If he's there, I'm being honest and open about it. He'd do well. I'd rather have him be in LV. I'd rather have him be in Cleveland. I'd rather have him be in Dallas. And then, Chicago's in that 4, 5, 6, 7 ranked territory, though. They are. It's just fact. All right, Rock Out. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, see you.
All right, Matt O, final thoughts.
Yeah, Denver and Ingram really surprised me. I really thought they'd go after Warren or Loveland at the 20 pick. And so that changes dynamics for them for sure. I think they could still draft a safety or maybe an edge guy to support that number 7 overall defense. But what's intriguing to me is in that 20 spot, they can still get a wide receiver and, to help out with that wide receiver crew, Sutton and Franklin, and Abuka's right there. So that's interesting to me that they could ask him. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it's intriguing.
Yeah, it is. Appreciate you, Matto.
Yep, later.
All right, call in anytime. All right, let me get these super chats out of the way real quick, then we'll say bye to Ron and Travis. Pierce, are you still? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just for like everybody
I mean, all the old people already know how we debate. For all the new subscribers because I haven't been around in a while, me and Smitty always debate something like this. I mean, I love Smitty's show. He knows that. We don't take offense to each other's opinions. So, anyways, good talk, Smitty. Good debate, and we'll see how it all works out.
All right, later.
Catch you guys later.
All right, later, Ron. Okay, so agree with Ron. I don't even think twice about it. Baby Lemon looking up. This is a sticker. Aaron, appreciate you dropping this, by the way. Sending a superhero, or standing in a superhero position. Thank you for sending that super sticker, Aaron. Everyone else enjoyed watching it, and I'm reading it. Sorry, Ron, the Steelers aren't going to pay 2 wide receivers top dollar. Aaron, are you still here? Appreciate you dropping that. Pierce says DK is a head case too. I don't know. I don't think so. Why? Because he eats Skittles every day for a meal? I don't think...
He could complain sometimes. It throws a little tantrum once in a
head
while.
Case. How you gonna call him a head case? He
doesn't have a track record of being like a clubhouse problem.
How you gonna call him a head case? The new number, I'll put it up on screen later, Tebow. I'm getting out of here. I'll be back probably tonight. Joe Milton trade talks. Hopefully Joe Milton does get traded. That'd be amazing. BBQ says, how many of us in this chat are drafting Pickens? Everybody vote in the chat. Who do you draft, DK or Pickens, if you had to pick one? Ron's going to punch the air in a minute. Oh, I'm not going to lie. I want Pickens. This is not a biased take. This is not explaining why I think the way I think. I don't carry that kind of bias. I just got through telling you that Genty would play good in a Chicago Bear uniform. That's totally unbiased. But I got to admit, like, part of one reason I do want Pickens gone, not that that's affecting my prediction that it happens, but why I would want it is because I want DK to be the sole provider there. You know, I don't want, we got DK by a mile. I pick neither, says, Bieco. Pickens, we got one Pickens. Jordan Thornton says Pickens. He must own him. DK, neither. DK. I'm only drafting Pickens if he's a Patriot, says Vader. Mike Williams to the Chargers. Pickens, DK by a mile. Still DK, says Travis. If Pickens goes to New England, it's closer, but still DK from Travis. Unleash DK production. Yeah, Ron, there's one vote. I don't know, who was it? It's probably Ron's burner. Jordan Thornton is an anagram for Ron Navy.
Bruce Pickens.
Did he? Brucey. Bruce always, no offense, Bruce, but you always got some wild take. Remember Dalton Schultz will outscore all the Nico and all the receivers?
Wild.
My boy Bruce. Bruce likes it wild. All right, final thoughts, Travis.
Just real quick, a couple of people in the chat were asking. One person asked, do you take Najee or Chuba now? I think they're pretty close.
So asking me that because of the Dowdle signing. I think
right.
I think I still Dowdle doesn't scare me at all. I know he played really well, and I was kind of like
it makes me feel better.
I was kind of like
I like Chuba.
I was kind of like you could call me a Dowdle doubter for sure walking into the year, and I started to really enjoy the way he played, so I admit that. But I mean, he doesn't. Jonathan Brooks didn't threaten Chuba. Dowdle's not going to threaten Chuba, and the 1-year deal that they gave him almost ensures that the player they have for the long term won't get, supplanted by the running back that's on the 1-year deal. Like, why would they try and damage the main event off of something that's scheduled for 1 year? You know what I mean? So I still think Chuba is just probably the safer play, but I like them both. They're both really good at their cost of entry. So I don't want to make this like a negative thing on Najee. I think Najee's situation's pretty good. But there is a world where they have they bring back J.K. Dobbins. I mean, there's a real chance. I haven't updated this since a couple things like Dowdle. There's a lot of stuff I need to update. Ingram. But J.K. Dobbins, you know, if there's no market for him, guess where he's going to go knocking? And what door he's knocking on would be the Chargers. And he's going to say, I'm not getting paid anything. What's your offer? $1.8 million? Okay, that sounds nice to me because I'm getting nothing right now. And then now all of a sudden you got Najee and JK, and it's like, you know, I know Najee's getting more. He's going to get paid more no matter what. But I don't know. I just think that give me Chuba Hubbard. If anything, this makes me feel really good that they're not going to go get some awesome rookie that falls too far. And they're like, you know, Dowdle's good, but he's not elite on any level. Chuba's kind of been playing near elite.
Yeah, he did. All right, and just one more quick one. I think it was Brian Sykes. He's always in the chat. He was asking a trade question. Would you trade? It's a 1 QB league, and he has Caleb and Penix Jr. as his QBs already. So would you trade AR5, Josh Downs in the 1.04 to get MHJ in the 2.1?
Of course. Yeah,
he has a bunch of first round.
Yeah, AR5 might not be starting this year, like even in week 1. So there's nothing you got to take that.
I mean, the 1.04 is the big piece of that, of the side he's given up.
Yeah.
So. But MHJ is worth that.
I like the 104, and honestly, that draft pick becomes more valuable every day we get toward your rookie draft. So I could see myself making this be even Steven later, like where you ask this question, you know, after April's draft, and I'm like, oh, that's close. You know, I really could get there.
Yeah.
But it depends on the landing spots, which is a risk right now to bank on. But if the risk, you know, things play out well, Hampton's looking like he's in an elite situation. Genty's in the place we want him. Scadaboo's in LV or Cleveland. And they're like, we have 3 RBs now all of a sudden, and then you got the 1 wide receiver at least, and then let's say Travis Hunter looks good too, and Ted McMillan. Like, then all of a sudden the 1.4 looks a lot more attractive. And that could be more attractive alone. The 1.4 alone could be more attractive than MHJ, just under the right circumstances. But there's a lot of variables there, man.
Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to say. It's hard.
Do you like Hampton or Ted McMillan if they were going to be like the 1.2?
Like if I had to pick now, Hampton. I'd take Hampton.
Right now.
I'd gamble on Hampton. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks, Smitty. I'll talk to you later.
Probably be back tonight. I think it'd probably be a short show, but I'll look to come back. Appreciate you all. See you all later. Thank you. BBQ dropping loads tonight. BBQ, thank you for the $5, the $10, and the $2.50 gifted memberships. Everybody thank BBQ. Stock on the rise. BBQ stock is constantly going up on this channel. Aaron Swarm, appreciate you with the double. Pierce and Alec, thank you all for the super chats. You guys absolutely rock. See you all probably tonight. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate your super chat. Sorry it took me a while to get to it. Same thing for any of you that I read that off late. See you all later.